This is All India Radio. In the weekly program Current Affairs, now we bring you a discussion on production-linked schemes for Atmanirbhar Bharat. The participants are Dr. S.P. Sharma and Dr. RANJEET MEHTA, economic analysts, and SONU SOOD, AIR correspondent.
In 2020, when the country was facing an unprecedented challenge due to the corona pandemic, the government under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi gave the call for moving towards an Atmanirbhar Bharat, and a slew of reforms were introduced towards this goal. One of the key initiatives launched on 1st April 2020 was the Production-Linked Incentive, or the scheme PLI as it is called popularly. To discuss this landmark reform, its journey so far and the impact it has had on our economy, we have with us two economic experts, Dr. S.P. Sharma and Dr. RANJEET MEHTA. Gentlemen, a warm welcome to you from All India Radio.
Thank you. Thank you.
To begin the discussion, Dr. Sharma, can you tell us, for the benefit of our listeners, what exactly is the PLI scheme, what is the concept, and what are its key objectives?
Firstly, I would like to mention the nature of the manufacturing sector in India, because manufacturing sector was not in that much high trajectory because of so many bottlenecks and lesser ease of doing business during the, I would say, 80s, 90s and 2000s. So we were not able to increase the share of manufacturing sector in GDP. That was stuck at around 15-16%. Because the next job creation and employmentation will come from the manufacturing sector only, as this is the sector which can provide lots of jobs to the growing young population and to create competitiveness in the international market. But the manufacturing sector was not excelling in the domestic economy as well as in the international market, and we were moving slow. So to enhance the trajectory of manufacturing sector and to increase its share in the GDP in the coming times, government announced the PLI scheme that there must be some incentives for the manufacturers to move forward so that they are creating the volumes and they are becoming more and more competitive on the basis of the economies of scale created by the production processes. So government announced this scheme, and the scheme has proven its resilience and lucrativeness for the manufacturing sector. The scheme provides eligible manufacturing company a 4 to 6% incentive on incremental sales over the base year 2019-20. For an example, if some company was producing rupees 5 lakh crore production in the company, so the next year production is 6 lakh crore, then the 1 lakh crore is eligible for this PLI. So the volume on the base year of 2019 is eligible for the incentives of the 4 to 6%, and these incentives are according to the sectors. Some sectors are at the 4% and some are at 4.5 or 5 or 5.56, and this ranges from 4 to 6%. So this increases the production possibilities and production sentiments of the producers so that they are able to produce more and they are able to participate more in the production processes, and their economies of scale are at the high level. So this scheme is providing incentives to the 14 sectors of the Indian economy, like mobile manufacturing, manufacturing of the medical devices, automobiles and auto components, pharmaceuticals, drugs and steel, telecom and networking products and electronic products, white goods, ACs and LEDs, food products, textile products, solar PV modules, advanced chemistry cell ACC, BET, and the drone components. So the growing sectors and some traditional sectors, the inherent strengths of the Indian economy, these sectors are provided the incentive to produce more and to become more and more competitive on the basis of economy jobs.
Dr. Mehta, Dr. Sharma has outlined, what this scheme really means and what are all sectors are covered under the scheme. Can you please tell us how you see this scheme having impacted the manufacturing sector of our country, having impacted the economy of our country, having impacted the image of India as a manufacturing hub in these last few years where production-linked incentive scheme has been implemented in these various sectors?
Oh, thank you, Sonuji. In fact, immediately after the pandemic, the global supply chains were completely disrupted. So to create a potent, ecosystem that is self-sustaining and thriving, India had launched this PLI scheme, and which has been really doing very well, especially in electronic sector. If you look at the mobile manufacturing sector, today 97% of the phones in India are produced. Whatever India is producing, 97% of those phones are in fact manufactured in India and also exported. So that is the kind of impact in the mobile sector this scheme has. And this scheme has particularly, if you see, it focuses on advanced technologies. It is likely to upgrade the skills of the existing labor force that we have in our country, and it will also place technologically obsolete machinery, which will make manufacturing sector globally competitive. Like now, India in fact wants to become the manufacturing hub for the world, and we want to manufacture in India and make for the global market. Third, so with this scheme, what it is going to do is, the enhanced production volume. So they will cater to increasing consumer demand, and this can be seen, as you have seen in the telecom sector, in mobile sector, and this scheme will enable faster adoption of even 4G and 5G products across the country. And fourth, I would say that green technologies, with PLI in green technologies, India can pioneer in green policy implementation with a reduced carbon footprint, which is also very important for our country. And we have seen that of late, many European countries, they have considered to put this carbon taxes. So it is very important we move towards this green technology, and better productivity will create a thirst in free trade agreements for better market access, and increased sales will demand better logistical connectivity. Today, if we see, India's logistic cost is very high. So our product, they are actually lacking. In fact, we are having around 14 to 15% logistic cost. But if you look at global level, the logistic cost is around 8 to 9%. So therefore, globally, we are less competitive. So even this PLI, to support this PLI scheme, government has come out with a Gati Shakti, Prime Minister Gati Shakti scheme. So that will also ultimately help in building an ecosystem where our companies who are coming from different global arena, they can manufacture here, and also they can supply to the whole global market. So overall, the scheme has been very successful so far in mobile sector, in electronic sector, and white goods consumer, and also in pharmaceutical sector. Many companies we have seen, like a company like Apple, company like Samsung, they have come in India and they have started manufacturing. And with this, many companies from US and other places, they are coming. And right now, I think more than around 500 companies, they have already taken the advantage of this scheme. And this will actually make India global hub for manufacturing. And that is the vision of our Prime Minister also. This PLI scheme, which is right now applicable in around 14 sectors, I think that the whole ecosystem is getting vibrant. And people are coming to India, they are going to manufacture here, and this will create robust, global value chains. So that's what is needed, because this is the lesson that we have learned during the COVID, how the global supply chains were disrupted. So the overall ecosystem with the PLI, the government has a vision to create, so that in future, if we face any of this kind of a problem, then we can easily sail through it in a smooth manner. So therefore, I think that the overall PLI scheme, so far, whatever we have seen, that it has got traction in all over the world, and people are coming to India. They are looking at India with this vision, and we have also made significant progress in ease of doing business. Therefore, many things which people used to face problem earlier, they have been ironed out, and I see a lot of traction in this scheme in the times to come, and that will contribute to our vision of having 5 trillion economy by 2026-27. And we know that until and unless we focus on manufacturing, we cannot really, move faster towards the vision of 5 trillion economies. and it is expected that this scheme is going to create around 7 lakh new jobs in the country. That we have seen that already around more than 40,000 jobs have been created, and we expect that once, this scheme also is going to be extended more than 14 sectors that is in the planning. And I hope that more and more sectors will be covered with this.
Right, sir.
Yeah.
Dr. Sharma, what would you say? Promotion of the manufacturing sector in India through the PLI initiative and creation of a conducive manufacturing ecosystem, it is enabling integration with global supply chains, as you both pointed out. You also feel it will establish backward linkages with the MSME sector in the country and create employment through that channel also?
Yes, that is very important because if you go by the years like 2017, 18, these were the problematic years because of the trade war between USA and China. And before we recovered from that trade war, we were impacted by the coronavirus. And before we recovered from the coronavirus, again there was a conflict in the geopolitical development like Russia, Ukraine, they are in war. So at this juncture, global value chains were totally disrupted. So this is the right time to capture the market share in the global economy, in the global manufacturing sector with more and more connectivity with the global value chains in the promising sectors such as sectors announced in the PLI scheme. Because without the connectivity in the global value chains, we will not be able to excel more or increase our participation in the global markets in the export trajectory. So it becomes important for the manufacturing companies to become integral part of the global supply chains and compete in the foreign markets. So manufacturers at these junctures must achieve the economies of scale and meet international quality standards also and comply with the foreign regulators and also attract R&D investments. So the time is opportune to become more and more competitive and to become integral part of the global value chains. And I would like to mention that production linked scheme has given a great impetus to the Indian economy during the last 2-3 years. And the PLI scheme is now becoming more and more lucrative for not only for the domestic manufacturers, but for the international players also. As this is unique and different from the previous subsidy schemes because it gives a clear mandate of selecting the most eligible sectors that can attract maximum investments and scale to expedite production and employment and enhancement of the exports. Like the numbers are reflecting, as we have posted around, I would say, $447 billion in the merchandise exports for the last financial year. And before that, we posted $423 billion. So these numbers are highest numbers in the history of India's merchandise exports. And these numbers are reflecting that we are becoming competitive in the international market and we are able to create economies of scale and to generate volumes also, which is the basic objective of the PLI scheme. The whole theme is to improve the cost competitiveness of the domestically manufacturing goods and to increase the production of the manufacturing goods for the export so that we are able to meet up the domestic demand also and we are able to compete in the international market also. As Government of India has set the target of the merchandise exports at $1 trillion by 2030, so this scheme will be instrumental.
Dr. Mehta, given the digitization drive in our country, which has, been lauded the world over, where we have developed systems like JAM, like UPI, and even in the nook and corner of our country, people are connected electronically. They are able to do their financial transactions electronically. How do you see the stress that has been given in PLI on these two sectors, electronics and telecom? How do you feel that has helped and it synergizes with the digitization boom in our country?
Well, the PLI scheme has really been very, very effective in electronic and mobile manufacturing sector that we have seen. The way India has digitized in last 5 to 7 years, and especially after the pandemic, there has been a total disruption, and the way people are using the mobile phones and there have been a fintech revolution. I think that this scheme, especially in electronic and mobile sector, has done wonders. And today, most of the phones are being manufactured in our country, in India, and people have got traction. Recently, we have seen that Apple and Samsung, they have opened their manufacturing units here, and we have also seen that Foxconn has also moved in India. So many international players in electronic and mobile sector, they have been attracted to have their manufacturing facility in our country. So, and not only this, I think the way India has planned to roll out the 5G in coming few months, I think that people have really relied on Indian ecosystem that this country can provide, that kind of an ecosystem to the world where people can rely on us and they have a ease of doing business. And this scheme has, PLI scheme has also ensured that whatever, if you talk about the logistic cost, we have little more, but with this PLI scheme is really compensating for that. And right now, I think that you had just touched upon this MSME sector. And MSME sector is extremely critical for our country. And if you just look at the world economy, wherever the economies are doing well, and it's a contribution of the MSMEs. So same way with more than around 70 million MSMEs in our country, so this scheme can be availed by the MSMEs as well. It's a great incentive for the MSMEs and to enter into manufacturing. And already many MSMEs are, especially the small businesses, they are availing this scheme and they have been empowered by this. And we have also seen that global players are equally attracted towards India's manufacturing sector. The way we have seen that so many reforms have been made in recent years, such as labor reforms, and there has been tremendous improvement in ease of doing business. So things are improving and we have a stable government and they have a great vision. And the way India has sailed through this pandemic, the world really believes in India after the disruption in China. Now people are really looking towards India, and Indian government with these kind of schemes and focus on creating that ecosystem. I think they are inviting all the global players in this sector so that they can start their manufacturing, they can trust India, and people are really buoyed about all this. And we hope that it will continue like this. And the way, even in this period of time, India remains the fastest growing economy in the world. So all hopes are there in India, and we are sure that the way everybody is working towards this. And I must just, stress one more point out here. Our states have really become participative because, these schemes are good. Ultimately, they have to be implemented in the state, and the land is a state subject. Some of the state governments have been very proactive. We have seen recently UP and maybe Haryana and other states also, Maharashtra. I think that today there has been a very good, healthy competition even among the states. So they are really working hard so that these global players, they can set up the factories in their states. We have seen that UP has set a target of $1 trillion economy by 2027, followed by even Maharashtra. So many states are coming. So this has created a healthy competition. Today, people are coming out of their comfort zones. They want to work hard. They want to do extra for the global manufacturing companies so that they can set up their manufacturing units in their states. And same way, there has been a tremendous focus in MSMEs. So the way India is moving on this manufacturing sector, time is not too far that we become a $10 trillion economy by 2030. And overall, I think that MSMEs are also growing. And these schemes should be, this particular scheme should also be extended to other sectors as well, apart from these 14 sectors.
Dr. Sharma, if we talk about the pharmaceutical sector, which again has been in the limelight because of the pandemic, we have seen that in the PLI scheme, one of the first sectors to be included were active pharmaceutical ingredients and manufacturing of medical devices, because we were very much dependent on imports in these sectors. So how do you see this, and how do you see the National Medical Devices Policy 2019 2023. What do you feel are the key objectives? What will be achieved by this effort?
Yes, Sonuji, this is very good that we are focusing on the pharmaceutical, because after the pandemic and during the pandemic, this sector was very much focused not only by India but the many global countries. And for India, we increased its share in the manufacturers, and earlier this sector was rated at 7th, 8th number in the top 10 of the exports. But during the pandemic period, this number jumped from 7, 8 to first 5 in the export segment. So the sector is very much prominent in the global economy, as our sector is very, very competitive as compared with the global players. As you said that how the sector is moving ahead and what should be the policy environment, I would say that we must create more and more R&D and incentives and the domestic production possibilities for the APIs, so that we must not be dependent on China for the maximum raw materials, and we have to create the domestic capacity building to move forward with the along with the PLI scheme. All the, I would say, the announcements made by the government for the pharmaceutical sector, though lucrative, but have to be implemented at the ground level so that we are able to move forward, and we have to increase the allocations also. Like for the Union Budget 23-24, there are at around 8,083 crore PLI allocations for the overall development of the PLI ecosystem in India, which are significantly high as compared with the 22-23.
And would you say that India becoming the pharmacy to the world,
yes,
and India supplying vaccines to so many countries?
Yes, I am saying that the maximum allocations of the 8,000 crore, more than 8,000 crore, of which the electronics, pharmaceuticals and automobiles and auto components are the major prime movers of the PLI scheme, and rise in allocations is very significant, so that these promising sectors like the pharmaceutical sector and automobile, electronics, these sectors are able to get more and more funding so that they are becoming more competitive. So as we say that we must become the manufacturing hub and we must become the pharmaceutical hub of the global economy. That is true that we have capabilities and we are now attracting more and more foreign direct investment, and shortly we are going to become a $100 billion FDI destination for the world. And but we have to encourage the foreign firms to come to India and place their factories and their locations in India with their established industrial ecosystems. This will reduce the government expenditure to invest and develop the ecosystem for the investors, as they will be providing the technical know-how to the domestic players also. And this will bring the assemblers and component manufacturers together so that they are able to create more synergies. As you said, that global integration, like the backward and forward integration also must happen in the manufacturing companies, as we must have to create the raw materials at the domestic level also, so that we are not able to dependent more on the countries like China, so that our domestic manufacturing capability becomes more strong and we are able to reduce the raw material cost and to increase the price cost margins of the producers, which is the profitability of the producers, so that they are able to produce more and compete more in the international market with the increased production possibilities and production sentiments at the domestic traject.
Dr. Mehta, you said that more sectors should be included in the PLI scheme. Now, PLI has had a very targeted approach right from the beginning. I would like your comment on, a choice of certain sectors which are forward-looking and which are, you can say, new age sectors like advanced chemistry, cell battery, or high-efficiency solar PV modules, or semiconductor and display system. You think this is very significant in an area where technology is changing very fast?
Absolutely. I think you said it right. These are the sectors which are the sunrise sectors, and they are based on the technology of the future. I think that it is extremely important that we include all these sectors in the PLI scheme. But before that, if you look at the, National Medical Devices Policy, why this sector is so important, why this National Medical Devices Policy is like this, today we have around $11 billion market of this sector. And this is going to grow at the rate to around $50 billion, that is around 450% by 2030. And National Medical Devices Policy focuses on creating an enabling ecosystem for the manufacturing and innovation. And it will streamline the regulations and promote training and also encourage the capacity building programs, fostering talent and skill resources in line with the industry's requirement. These are the basically, the aims of this particular policy, and also domestic investment and production of medical devices will be encouraged by this policy, which will fulfill the aim of Atmanirbhar Bharat in Make in India programs. Basically, then if you look at it broadly, it will cover around six areas like interventions like regulatory, streamlining, enabling infrastructure, or facilitating R&D and innovation, and also it will help in attracting investments and also human resource development, and brand positioning and awareness creating is also the aim of this particular policy. And if we look at it, like food processing sector, you said solar cells or semiconductor, these are, extremely important sector in the times to come, and they need to be included under this scheme. And the way the whole world is changing, right now whatever sectors that we have, they are very good. I think that with the time, the way the things are very dynamic.
Right, Dr. Mehta, in fact, these three sectors that you mentioned, they are already, they have been included in the PLI scheme. And you were talking about a traditional sector, food processing. Can you tell us a little more about the importance of this sector when we talk about the traditional sectors?
Yes, still an agrarian economy. That is why this sector is very important. And just take example of one potato. Potato, maybe if you buy from a market, it will cost around maybe 50 paise, maybe 20 paise. However, from the same potato, if you create potato chips, they are being sold for 15 to 20 rupees per very small packet, which can be probably made out of one potato. So that's the power of food processing. Any food which we prepare, our farmers, they are producing food, and India already is a food basket of the world. There are many things. We have seen that there has been a revolution in milk production in India, how Amul and other companies, they have transformed the farmers and the milk producers. Same way, if the scheme is also given in this sector, I think that food processing is extremely important sector. It will help the small players and farmer producing organizations, and women especially. It will also help the women. I think that there are small enterprises, micro enterprises in village level, block level. There it can make a real difference. After all, we need an inclusive growth.
Absolutely.
When we need an inclusive growth, we have to uplift the people who are at the bottom of the pyramid.
Thank you so much, gentlemen, for this analysis of the PLI scheme for Atmanirbhar Bharat. The Prime Minister's clarion call envisages policies for the promotion of an efficient, equitable and resilient manufacturing sector in the country. As you said, growth in production and exports of industrial goods, consumer goods has greatly exposed the Indian industry to foreign competition and ideas, helping improve its capabilities to innovate further and leading to overall growth in the economy and creating huge employment opportunities. Thank you so much for bringing all these nuances to the listeners. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
You were listening to a discussion on production-linked schemes for Atmanirbhar Bharat. The participants were Dr. S.P. Sharma and Dr. RANJEET MEHTA, Economic Analysts, and SONU SOOD, AIR Correspondent. This program was produced and presented by the News Services Division of All India Radio. You can listen to it on our mobile app, News on AIR. This program is also available on our YouTube channel, News on AIR Official. You may share your feedback about this program through email at airnsdtalks@gmail.com or WhatsApp on 9289094044.